Thank you everyone for joining the webinar, Creating Referral Sources with 203K Financing, sponsored by Real Estate Mortgage Network. Although lines will be muted throughout the presentation, please feel free to ask any questions in the webinar panel. We will have a quick Q&A at the end of the webinar. At this time, I'd like to introduce Carl Markman, Director of National Sales for Real Estate Mortgage Network.
Thank you very much, Pam, and thank you all of you for attending this very important webinar today. We at REMN Wholesale believe that as a partner, it's our responsibility to help all of you increase your business and increase your referral sources going forward. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Stephen Morris. That will be our presenter today. Thank you very much.
It's Steve Marshall, but that's okay. Hey, thank you for everyone taking some time out of your valuable schedule today. This journey started on the 21st of November. We had an educational webinar back then. We had over 500 participants on the call, and at that time we introduced the fact that we were going to have today's workshop. And today is focused more on the nuts and bolts and actually trying to give you some ideas to actually how to increase your sales, and thereby increasing your sales, increasing your referral partners, and increasing your commission. So the title of today is Creating Referral Sources with 203K Financing, but the real focus is on all of us generating more income. So Pam, can we go to the next slide, please? Here's our objectives today. The very first thing I'm going to give you is I'm going to give you some very time-saving tips. These are time is valuable. We only have so many hours in a day, and we have to maximize our productivity as far as what makes us money and minimize the occurrences that take up a lot of time. Many times they're needed, but they're not actually creating wealth for us. And I've got two very good, valuable tips for you today. We're going to talk about not only the benefits for us, but for our referral partners. I mean, what's the benefit of 203K financing to a buyer and to a seller and to realtors? And ultimately, I think that through this information and educational process, you're going to be able to set yourself aside from the competition. And by doing so, you're going to create more sales opportunities for yourself and ultimately more income for you and your family. So let's get started. The very first thing, next slide, Sam. The very first thing that we're going to talk about is two time-saving tips. These are mathematical equations, but if you understand them and you master them, you will be able to very quickly give somebody information, give them information that is with very good certainty that the information is correct, and really be viewed in your marketplace as an educator. So the next slide shows you how to quickly determine what the base loan amount of a Streamline 203K is. So here's how you do it. You take the cost of your labor and material, whatever the cost of the bid is from the contractor. You multiply it by 112%, and then you add $250. And that number is your estimated total renovation cost. Because remember, the renovation cost is all-inclusive. It's your contingency reserve, your supplemental origination fee, any permits that you may have, any draw inspections that you may have. So there is a difference between the contractor's bid and the total cost of renovation. So you take the labor and material times 112% plus $250, that's your total renovation cost. If you remember, on a purchase, we do not use an as-is value with the exception of the purchase of a HUD REO. All other transactions, we're going to accept whatever the sales price is as the as-is value, and the only thing we're going to be focused on is the after-improved value. So the next part of the equation is you simply take your sales price and you add your total renovation cost that we calculated with the 112% plus $250. Now that's going to give you your total acquisition cost. You multiply that by 96.5%, and there's your base loan. And let me show you how quickly you can compute this. The next slide shows an example of $20,000 and $30,000 worth of labor and material. So at $20,000, somebody says, you ask them how much you think the contractor's bid is going to be, and they say $20,000. You multiply that $20,000 by 112%, you add $250, and you know that your estimated total renovation cost. I think we have some technical difficulties. It's $22,650. Same equation for $30,000, where you take $30,000 times 112%, add $250, and you get $33,850. Now notice, if we were to calculate this longhand, we would be doing $20,000 plus the 10% contingency of $2,000, $200 for, let's say, a final inspection, $100 for a title update, and $350 for the supplemental origination fee. If we were to add all those together, it comes to $22,650. The exact amount of the real quick method that we did in above. If we did the $30,000 example, again, we would add the $30,000 with the supplemental origination fee of $500, the $3,000 contingency reserve, the $200 in final inspection, and $100 for the title update, and we get $33,800. So real quickly, you're able to determine or give somebody a very good initial estimate simply by using a mathematical equation. Now the next slide shows that this equation also is true for a full consulting K. However, the numbers are changed just very slightly. For a full consulting K, you take the labor and material and you multiply it by 113%. Remember, it was 112 on the Streamline. For a full K, it's 113%. And to that, you add $1,000. Remember the Streamline that you added $250. On a full consultant, you add $1,000. The rest of the equation is the same as the Streamline refinance. So if we go to our examples on the next page, we did, once again, an example at $50,000 and an example at $75,000. Next page, please. At $50,000, we take the $50,000 times 113% plus $1,000, and you notice it comes out to $57,500. And if we did the estimate at $75,000, using the same equation, it comes out to $85,750. You'll notice if we did the longhand calculation where we were doing it on an actual maximum mortgage worksheet, the real numbers come out to $57,652 and $85,666 respectfully. So in both cases, we're within about $100 of the actual amount, and yet we were able to give this information and help educate this customer in a matter of minutes. And time is money. Now, on most of the training sessions that I give around the country, people get confused as far as the valuation, especially realtors. Realtors say, okay, I'm selling my house, the house for $100,000. You guys are putting $50,000 into it. Does that mean the property has to appraise at $150,000? And for FHA, the answer is no. Here is a real quick tip for you. Once you determine what the acquisition cost is, and that's what we just did, that exercise that we just did was determining what the acquisition cost is. Because remember, the acquisition cost is the sales price plus the total renovation cost. If you multiply that number by 91%, that will tell you what the after improved value has to be. So let's say that we have an example here where the acquisition cost is $150,000. Sales price was $100,000. The total renovation cost was $50,000. So the total acquisition cost is $150,000. If we multiply that by 91%, you'll see that the after improved value only has to be $136,500. Now, how does that mathematical equation, how does it actually become true? Because remember, when a non-condo FHA 203K purchase, you can go to 110% of the after improved value. So, by using interpolation, where I take the 136,500, if I were to multiply that by 110%, it comes out to $150,150. So simply, when you're talking to a potential buyer or you're talking to a realtor, we have shown you the first equation was how to calculate very quickly what the acquisition cost is. Now, just as quickly, we're showing you how to tell your referral partner or your referral source or your borrower what the after improved value has to be. It's 91% of the acquisition cost because we're able to go to 110%. So now the next couple slides are going to talk about benefits. Carl and I were talking on the phone before we had the webinar dialed in, and we were talking about partnerships because we're in a business of relationships. We're in a business of developing referral sources. And so I looked up the definition of a partnership, and here's the definition that I was given. That a partnership is a relationship between individuals and or groups that is categorized by mutual cooperation and responsibility for the achievement of a goal. And by you being the source of education and information for your borrowers and for your realtors, you're going to help all of them achieve the specific goal of whether it's building wealth, whether it's improving the condition of a property for enjoyment purposes, whether it's to help a realtor grow their business, whether it's to help a seller liquidate a particular property. So the first thing we're going to talk about is what's the benefits to the borrower? Well, you know, this is just a regular FHA loan. There's no magic to it. For many, many years, people shied away from 203K loans because they thought they were too difficult. And it's a simple 203B with a construction rider. It's a very simple, government-controlled, government-insured loan. We talked on the last call about there's no additional cash investment. 96.5% is the maximum loan amount. But the borrower can customize their home after closing. This is a perfect vehicle for showing borrowers how to build wealth. I was just talking to an individual on the phone right before I called in here about literally this borrower is walking into a house with about 8% equity once the property is complete. They bought a house below market because it was in distressed condition, and they're rehabbing it, and the appraisal came in, and once they close, they're going to have about 8% equity. And we're going to show people really how, and we're going to have slides about how to show people how to reduce the ultimate cost of home ownership. Well, what about sellers? Well, the next slide shows that sellers are a part of the equation too. By offering a 203K product, you're actually increasing the population of potential borrowers that are going to go through a property. The more buyers that go through the property, statistically, the faster the home sells, and the higher the net proceeds to the seller. So you add value to a buyer, you add value to a seller. Now, how about to our realtor partners? Well, there's a slide coming in 2 slides that are going to show you that we have an opportunity as mortgage professionals utilizing this product to go after both listing agents as well as selling agents. So to the advantage of the real estate population, we're going to be able to show them how to sell more listings, satisfy more buyers, generate more referrals and make more income. Well, how about yourself, the mortgage professional? What's really the value to you? Well, the ultimate value is to grow your franchise, to grow your business, to make more income. This is a tool that you can use for past customers. You know, the National Mortgage Bankers Association basically says that refinances are going to drop by about 65% in 2014. And that might be true for people that are just looking to do a rate term refi. But if you've got a good, strong database of all your past customers, renovation financing is an opportunity for you to reach out and market to them for the possibility of doing home remodeling projects at very competitive interest rates at financing of 97.75%. So you can use this for past customers. You can use it for your current real estate agents by showing them how to sell more of their listings as well as satisfy more of their buyers. I told the story last time about when I was in Gainesville, Georgia. I didn't know that Georgia had a town called Gainesville. I'd only heard of Gainesville, Florida. And this woman in the front row raised her hand and said, well, I've got this young lady that I've shown her 87 houses. And I said, 87 houses? She said, yep, I showed her every house in the market in her price range. And I laughed and I said, well, I've never been in Gainesville, Georgia, but it's amazing that you real estate agents get paid for showing people properties. And she says, we don't get paid for showing properties. And I said, well, you have to. You showed them 87 properties. Everybody laughed, and anyway, we went through a step-by-step process of how to turn this person into a buyer. And 31 days later, this agent called me and said, you know what, I got her on paper, and we're going to close in 30 days. So what advantage do you have by using Real Estate Mortgage Network? Well, Real Estate Mortgage Network did not do 203K financing 3 years ago. And within just a 3-year period, we went from not doing 203K to number 3 in the country. And what caused such a rapid growth with us? And I think the focus was on customer service. We developed a renovation concierge service. It's a corporate-funded department that really acts as a liaison between operations and sales. And it assists both the operational aspect and the sales aspect in the pre-closing of a loan. But one of the biggest factors is once a loan closes, we actually assign a concierge to the individual transaction that works hand in hand with the consultant, with the contractor, and the homeowner to assure that the project will move along quickly, will come in within budget, and that everybody will walk away satisfied. When we were doing this presentation and we were doing researching, we realized that in the wholesale division of Real Estate Mortgage Network, that we are still maintaining our 24-hour turn time, and that we're closing these 203K loans in 31 days. I would dare the competition to try to match those statistics. So the next slide actually talks about the whole value-added proposition. Isn't that what we're all here for? To gain value? Well, in sales, there's ways to grow your business both vertically as well as horizontally. And what I mean by that, by vertical growth, everybody on this call has a group of referral sources that they do business with. And so by utilizing a tool, not a product, but a tool like 203K, you're going to be able to increase your sales with that group of people. The vertical growth means that you're now going to be able to take your goods and services, and you're going to be able to go and get other referral sources. So you're not only going to do more business with the group of referral sources that you have, But now, through the multiplier effect, you're also going to get new referral sources. And how are we going to do this? Well, typically, I've been doing this for 30 years, and when I first got in the business, I was taught to go after real estate agents that have buyers. And you just focus on that agent that has a buyer. Because every time you went to a listing agent, they would put up their hands. I call it, they put up the Heisman, and they go, oh, don't talk to me, I'm just a listing agent. And we'd walk away. Now, if someone were ever to say that to you, oh, I'm just a listing agent, you ought to just smile and say, well, you do need to speak with me. Because what we're going to talk about in just a few minutes is some very valuable tips that once you master, you're going to be able to sit down with very powerful listing agents in your marketplace, and you're going to be able to show them how to not only use your presentation to acquire more listings, but even more important, use your presentation to sell those listings. So the next couple pages shows what the value proposition is to a buyer. If whoever was on the last call that we had on November 21st, you'll realize that the National Association of Board of Realtors said that the average sales price of a non-distressed house in the United States was $185,000. $185,000 was the median value of a non-distressed property. So what this slide does right here is it shows you what the cost of home ownership and what the equity position would be of buying that non-distressed property. The only thing that I wanted to bring to your attention, and we're going to correct this, but this slide where it said the P&I at 4.5%, the payment of $920.10 is really based on 4%, not 4.5%. But the cost of home ownership is different than the mortgage payment. Because the mortgage payment is your principal, interest, taxes, insurance, and mortgage insurance. Well, with the cost of home ownership, it's also the utility expense and the maintenance expense. So if we were to add up these expenses, you would see that the monthly carrying cost was $1,628.10. And for those of you that were on the last call, you'll remember that the National Association of Board of Realtors, not Steve Marshall, not Real Estate Mortgage Network, but the National Association of Real Estate, said that the average first-time home buyer anticipates being in the property for 10 years. So if their monthly carrying charge is $628.10, that means over a 10-year period, they're going to spend roughly $162,000 to hold that property. Well, they're buying a non-distressed house, so what's the equity? Well, the equity is going to be, or the value at least, is going to be $185,000. Look what happens when we go to the next slide. The next slide is you got a buyer who's not buying that perfect house. They're not buying the house with the white picket fence. They're buying a distressed property. And the National Association of Board of Realtors said that the average cost of a distressed property was $110,100. So what happens if they were to buy that $110,000 house and put $50,000 into it? Well, what you're going to find is the after improved value of that house is now $185,000. Well, they only have $160,000 into it, so they've picked up $25,000 worth of equity. And look at what the monthly carrying cost of that property is. The monthly carrying cost is only $1,326. Remember, the carrying cost of the non-distressed property was $1,628. And one of the reasons why it is less is that look what we've done to the average utility expense and the maintenance expense. We have driven them down by approximately 30% each. So over a 10-year period, maintaining that house is approximately $132,000. So what can you do with $50,000? Well, the next slide shows an example of what you could do with $50,000. You can put in new windows and doors, a new roof, new kitchen cabinets and countertops, new HVAC systems, upgrade the bathroom fixtures, reseal the existing ductwork, paint the house, upgrade the insulation, put in a new hot water tank, put in new energy efficient appliances, carpet and pad maybe in the upstairs, maybe hardwood floors down in the main level. Could put new siding on that property. There's a lot you can do with $50,000 to bring not only comfort and enjoyment to a house, but also to increase its value. So when we do a side-by-side comparison of the distressed property versus the non-distressed property, you'll see that the average equity position by purchasing the distressed property was $27,800 versus $3,400 for the non-distressed property. And the average cost of home ownership of that property over the 10-year period was approximately $30,000 less. So here's the big question. The next slide says, is a distressed property still a distressed property after the renovations are complete? No. A distressed property is no longer distressed after the renovation is complete. So what would you say? Do you think that 60 or 90 days of remodeling can be worth $58,000 to your average first-time homebuyer clients? Because if you just go through the exercises that we just went through, there's probably nobody else in your market that's talking about that kind of wealth building. And can you imagine what $58,000 can do to that first-time home buyer? It could finance education for their children. It could help with property or school district that they didn't think they could afford. What you're doing is you're distinguishing yourself from the competition because you are not only giving them information and education, but you're actually improving their financial conditions. You've become a financial counselor in that particular case. Well, what about the next slide about your real estate partners? I think what we can do is remove their fear and doubt, because you know what the number one fear to a realtor is the appraisal. They're concerned that the appraisal is going to come back and it's going to underappraise and it's going to be filled with property-related conditions, and the sale that they thought they had is going to fall apart. Well, we know that we can just take that fear right off the table because we've already talked about the 110% of the after improved value. And all the repairs are done post-closing. So there should never be a situation where anyone is surprised. Realtors, especially the most successful realtors, always have listings that they can't sell. The National Association of Board of Realtors say that approximately 26% of all the listings on the market have been on the market for 6 months or longer. So how about being known as the person in your marketplace that is partnering up with these listing agents and helping them get rid of, helping them sell that 26% of their inventory? Remember the woman in Gainesville, Georgia that showed 87 properties to that first-time home buyer. These realtors spend hours and hours showing potential buyers properties that are never perfect. You're going to be in a position to show these people how to buy the imperfect property and make the property perfect for them by personalizing it to their particular taste. Realtors spend money on listings that never sell. Well, you're going to create a marketing campaign to help them sell those listings. And realtors are concerned about just financing in general, especially 203K financing. You know, they see the benefits, but they've heard horror stories. Many of them believe that it takes 90 to 120 days plus to close a 203K loan. We're closing them in 31 days. And not only are we closing them in 31 days, we've talked about the concierge department that will walk alongside you before the loan closes, and then walk alongside the homeowner and the contractor and the consultant once it does close. And what value does that have to you and to your real estate partner? That means that if there is a dispute, if there is a cost overrun, if there is unforeseen damage, instead of people calling you or calling your realtor, they're calling us. We're taking those issues, and we are resolving them, and we are working the deal until the final distribution of the last draw payment. Your next slide will talk about realtors who do short sales. A realtor who does short sales, they have sellers that have no motivation. They don't have any money. They're not going to put any money in the property. And the bank's not really interested in the property because they already know they're selling it for a loss. And the property is probably just distressed because it hasn't been maintained. So how's the realtor going to sell that house? Well, one of the ways to sell it is to bring you and your team in. What about bringing your HUD consultant in as a partner and having the consultant do a feasibility study, completing the workup, and then giving it to the listing agent? And let the listing agent send it to the bank or to the REO manager and show them the condition that the property's in. That's something that's probably not happening in your marketplace today. We talked about creative marketing ideas, and I believe in building teams. I believe that we can climb mountains with a team behind us, and only climb hills when we try to do it ourselves. So what kind of team would you recommend? I have a team that's a consultant, it's an energy rater, a contractor, community active agencies, and real estate mortgage network. Now, what's this team going to do? Well, the team's going to go out to individual realtors and try to assist individual realtors with individual borrowers and individual listings. But beyond that, you're going to take your team and you're going to go to trade shows. You're going to do home buyer seminars. You're going to be able to go to community action agencies. I had the opportunity in Delaware to speak in front of the home counselors. When you go and you get a community action type loan, you have to go to home counseling. Well, I was able to be a guest speaker for the community action agency, and that agency saw tremendous value in 203K because they recognized that it's not whether you can buy a house, it's whether you can maintain the house. It's the maintenance and the repairs that derail most homeowners. Most homeowners are prepared to make the mortgage payment. They're not prepared to put an extra $8,000 into the HVAC system when the heating goes up in December or January. So that's a tip for you. Look for home counselors in your area and community action agencies. And don't be afraid to take this product and show them how it benefits potential low to moderate income families. So who's a HUD consultant? Well, a HUD consultant is a trained professional that is trained and been tested and certified by HUD. And if you want to develop a relationship with them, here is a link that you can go to HUD's website, and you simply type in the state in which you do your business in, or the state in where the property is located. And it'll list all the active consultants in your particular marketplace. Now, we here at Real Estate Mortgage Network, we have a network of consultants right now in Vermont, Connecticut, New York City, New Jersey, Eastern Pennsylvania, Maryland, D.C., Florida, and Georgia. So if you're in any one of those states, we can literally recommend people that we've been doing business with over the last 3 years. We're in the process of developing additional databases and additional marketplaces, and hope to have that completed within the first quarter of 2014. But at least this will give you the information that you need to go to HUD's website and select a consultant in your marketplace. Pick up the phone, call them. If that conversation goes well, why don't you sit down and have coffee with them and talk about how they grow their business and how you're going to grow your business, because at the end of the day, we're all business people. The last call that we had on November 21st, I was surprised how many questions we got after the webinar about what is an energy rater. So we decided on this call we would actually give you that information. There's a company out there called RESNET, Residential Energy Services Network, and they are the national repository for home energy systems. Everybody's heard of Energy Star, and Energy Star really is for appliances. This is for houses. You go to www.resnetusa, type in the zip code of your market area, and it'll show you all of the certified professionals in your marketplace. I was talking to a family in Arizona this past week, and they called me, and I gave them this information, and they called me last night, and they were telling me that the energy rater came out to their house and did an audit, and what they found is that their HVAC system is fine. It's not the HVAC system that's not working properly. It's that the ductwork isn't sealed and isn't zoned properly. So for just less than $1,000, they're going to be able to correct a problem that they thought was going to cost them $7,000 to $8,000. Hello? Hello?
Oh, that was strange. Okay, sorry.
Okay, that's okay. When you go to RESNET site, you'll notice that there are 3 types of testing. There's a survey, an audit, and a rating. Pam, I wonder if that is telling us that we're running out of time.
No, that actually does not happen, so I'm not sure what that was. So why don't we just keep moving on?
Okay, I apologize to everyone, because the next slide is telling you why RESNET is important, why partnering with an energy rater is important, why the cost of home ownership and understanding how to improve the functionality of your utilities is important. These are not my statistics. These are from the federal government. That homes that are retrofitted and made more energy efficient save between 25 and 40% of a homeowner's existing bills. So if you're in a marketplace where the average bill is about $300 a month, you might be able to show the people by doing slight modifications to their properties, saving $90 a month. It's $1,080 a year. Well, the National Association of Appraisal is actually called the Appraisal Institute. There was a study that was published in the Appraisal Journal that said for every $1 that you decrease on the energy consumption of a home, you're increasing the market value by $20. That's pretty significant. The return on investment is approximately 16%. Where can somebody in today's marketplace get a 16% return on their investment? And we can show them how to do it. You're going to be equipped to show people how they can not only improve the comfort and enjoyment of their home, but even more important than that, you're going to show them how to increase the efficiency of their home and reduce the ultimate cost of home ownership. And a lot of these repairs that we're talking about are eligible for government rebates and incentives. So somebody might spend, let's say, $10,000 on a particular energy efficient system, but they might get $3,000 or $4,000 back in the form of a rebate or an incentive. Here's one thing that we've been doing for the last several years. We started doing this when REOs were very popular back in 2009 and 2010. We literally would bring our team. Remember, I was talking about the team of you, your consultant, your realtor, your energy rater. And we would go to these REOs, and the consultant would do a real quick write-up as far as a feasibility study, and the contractor would give a quick write-up. We actually had an appraiser that was part of our team who wasn't doing an appraisal, but they were doing a BPO, a broker price opinion, and basically focusing on what their professional belief of the after improved market value was. And we had the energy rater do a survey, not an audit, not a rating, but a survey. That's the quickest form that they do. And we were putting this all together in a nice marketing package. And we had lawn signs that introduced special financing, and we had directional signs that pointed to these properties, and we would have fun, and we were driving a lot of activity to these properties. It was not unusual for us to put on one of these open houses with the whole team and have upwards of 30 people show up at the open house, because the perception of somebody getting a deal. That's what we were creating. We were creating the perception of not what this house is today, but what this house can be in 60 to 90 days. And it worked. You can also, the next slide shows how you can put together a dream home, what I'm going to call a checklist. And we're looking to put one of these together for our partners, i.e. the brokers that are on this call today, and that we'll be able to share this with you. But just think about this. How about your real estate partner walks through a house, and as they're walking through the house, they have a checklist with them. They go through that checklist, line item by line item, room by room, as far as what the borrower would like to do to the house. Because what we're doing is we're selling the possibilities and the opportunities of a property, not what it is today, but what it can be, what it's possible to be. Because as we talked about last time, you can change a lot about a property, but you can't change its location. So the last slide says that we're here to help you succeed. If you remember, I read the definition of partnership, and it was everybody focused on a common goal. So our common goal here is to make your career, your lending experience more customer focused, so that you can give better customer service to your real estate partners, to your home buying community, and that together, collectively, Real Estate Mortgage Network and yourself grows our businesses together with a focus not only on customer growth, but even more important than that, customer retention. So I'd like to say thank you for the opportunity that you've given me today. And here is how you can reach out and contact us.
Thank you all, and I'm so sorry for the technical difficulties with the audio. We were going to do a quick Q&A, but it seems like with the audio, with the issues that we're having, we're going to skip that. However, that being said, we do appreciate all of the questions that were asked, and what we will do is we will make sure to send out a copy of this presentation to all the participants. We will also send a recorded presentation as well as all the questions and answers that, for all the questions that were asked during the webinar. So right now I just turn it over to Carl to close this out.
Great. Thank you very much for everyone for joining this webinar today. This is one of the fastest growing products across the country, so you've all taken the first step in increasing your business and your referral sources across the country, and we hope that this was very helpful and look forward to doing business in the future. If you are not currently REMN Wholesale customer, please reach out to us on our website at REMNWholesale.com and speak to one of our account executives. We look forward to working with you in the future. Thank you very much, everyone. Have a great day. Bye-bye.